Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16 trailer drop. Phaedra, let me say something about Phaedra. We're both from Athens, and we met each other in the London over breakfast. And anytime I'm in the London, it's not a lot of black women in there, especially like in the areas where you eat. So just naturally, when you see another black woman, you're gonna acknowledge her because there's probably only two or three of you guys in there outside of the servers. And so I'm down there and I see a really pretty black woman with no makeup on. And, just, hey girl. Okay, so now we're over like where the fruits and stuff are. I'm fixing my pineapple, load my plate up with pineapples. And she's standing right next to me. I said, Phaedra? And she's like, hey. So I tell her who I am. She actually knows my dad very, being transparent, she used to date my father back when they lived in the same hometown. So Phaedra's my dad's ex. So she asked about my mom. She asked about my dad. We caught up on families. So she wanted to know what I was doing in Los Angeles. And so next thing I know, we're chatting it up. My food that I order comes, it's buffet and order style. So I go back to the table or whatever, eat my food. And so now I'm getting ready to leave. I stop at her table. Girl, it was so nice chatting with you. I'm super proud of you, all the things that you're doing. And so she insisted that we exchange numbers, which I thought was so cool of her, only because she is older and at this current moment more famous than me. So, oftentimes in that dynamic, people aren't so quick to exchange their contacts like that, especially just with women. Like I know Nene Leakes as well, and she's just, when I say Nene Leakes wants to be the only girl out of Athens, that's just what it is. She's not gonna help you come up in any way, shape, or form. Even if you have her number, even if you've been to her wedding, she's just not gonna help you. And she even said that on Carlos King. She admitted it after I've had interactions with her. I'm glad she admitted it because I already came to this conclusion about her. But she told Carlos in regards to Phaedra, she's like, I really was pretending like I didn't know her because I had a hard time receiving it. I want to be the only girl out of Athens. I'm the Athens girl. What is she doing here? Those were Nene's words to Carlos King verbatim. You know? So, when you see a girl's girl like that, you just gotta appreciate them. And I mean, look at that. Look at what happens with people who play nice and, you know, pour into other women. Phaedra has 3 shows on network television right now. 3. Nene's doing a podcast with Sierra Gates. So there's that. The season 16 trailer, as shady as Nene might be, I do think they could benefit from her return as far as talent, but because I am both an actress, comedian, and on the other side, I'm a producer, I know that sometimes there's nothing that you can deliver on screen that's worth dealing with you behind the scenes, and the politics and how you can just turn the work environment very toxic, and so sometimes you have to make decisions, and that's why she's not back on that show. They didn't give me a lot of scenes in the Real Housewives of Atlanta trailer to let me know what Phaedra's potential storyline is going to be. And honestly, the truth is, nobody in that trailer really shared a storyline outside of Shamia, right? I think we're going to get into seeing that, I don't know, Shamia has some type of dynamic with Portia where it appears that Portia's getting a little envious of Shamia. Portia's a beautiful woman, and she, has made her fair share of money. So I really hope that she can find some security within herself and be proud of who she is and the work she's done and standing alone. Sorry, that's the cops coming by. Hopefully they're going to arrest Glorilla's wig maker. But yeah, so hopefully Portia gets more secure and standing on her own 2 feet, and just being proud of herself, because she really should be. And I don't think she needs to feel like she's in competition with a friend that supposedly has the things she wants, which is a marriage and the real nice cars and an actual healthy relationship and a family unit. And this is not the 60s. Like, we're thriving older and older. So no matter what you feel like you don't have time, or no matter what you feel like you don't have right now, you have time to go get it, you know? I could really be going in on this Real Housewives of Atlanta trailer, but they didn't give me much. Everybody looked good. Everybody looked good. For once, Portia's not the only one on the cast that's carrying the glam, the looks, the good procedures, the boobs. She was pretty much in a lane of her own at one point. Cynthia would have her moments from time to time, but now it's a full cast of glamazons, and that's good. Because at the end of the day, the people want something to look at. They do. As much as we don't want to admit it, it's like the visuals matter. But yeah, I didn't get much from the Housewives trailer. And that's the review. You know, they served looks. They didn't give Kenya Moore a name title, a lower third. They probably showed her for like 2 seconds, you know. In more eventful reality TV news, we have the Married to Medicine, Season 11, Episode 10. Married to Medicine, Season 11, Episode 10 was nothing short of a wild, exciting ride. I had a good time. I watched it twice. Even these bad shows, I'll watch it twice sometimes, but like, I really had to run it back. We are in Key West this episode, right? Okay, so your couples go down to Key West. If you have not been tuning in, let me give you a list of the couples that we're watching right now. So I'm going to go with the doctors first. You have Dr. Simone, whose husband is named Cecil. And then you have Dr. Jackie, whose husband is named Curtis. And unfortunately, Curtis is carrying around, the scarlet letter because he did cheat on Jackie a couple years ago, and it was a big part of the storyline. And put a pin in that, remember that, because we're going to talk about some of the conversations that was had in this episode later. So remember, they were dealing with infidelity, but it seems like they've come back around. You have Sweet Tea, who is one of the newest female cast members. She came on last season. Sweet Tea is the new wife to Dr. G. Okay, Dr. G is a very short-tempered male psychiatrist, and he's in his 50s, and he's never had any children, even though he longs for them so badly. And Dr. G is the ex-husband of Quad Webb. Okay, Quad Webb, beautiful, beautiful chocolate girl. Love her to death. I think she has a great body, great personality. I would think that me and her could probably, hang out, have a good time. I've been around her. We've, ate in the same restaurant, and it was really random because it wasn't that many people in this Thai restaurant in Atlanta. I was in there by myself on the random. She walked in with her girlfriends, and then Charles Barkley walks in like maybe 20 minutes later, and it literally was just us 3 tables. In the middle of it was just so random. But Quad looked like she was over there having a good time. So I'm like, okay, I could probably kick it with her, and especially watching her on the show. So you have Quad Webb, who is there with her new man, who she's been with secretly for a year, named King. King is a very, very good looking guy. Also, mental note, remember that. You have Dr. Heavenly and her husband, Damon. Dr. Heavenly is a dentist and very much of a shit starter. Probably the biggest shit starter on the show. And then her husband, Dr. Damon, he's just so patient and quiet and mild-mannered. But also, as we know, them the ones you gotta watch. It's like you a little too quiet. Wait, what's this? Okay. Sorry, that was a tangent. Who else do we got? We got Toya, who is a riot and very, very thick, good looking woman. She's married to her younger husband, Dr. Eugene, who's so sweet. But if you hear me call him Mr. Potato Head, it's just because he's round and bald. What do you want me to do? We got Contessa, who I've also ran into at the London. I'm downstairs. And looking back, like looking at the time that I ran into Contessa, I'm led to believe that she was out here supporting Phaedra on Dancing with the Stars, which is what Phaedra was doing here when we met. Um, and so I'm pretty sure just now watching the show, Contessa was out here, kicking it with Phaedra. Her husband is named Walter, and they're both physicians, which is really cool. Um, we have a new cast member. Her name is Dr. Mimi. She is a very beautiful, fair-skinned, light, beautiful psychiatrist. She has a very attractive husband, a former NFL player. His name is Steve. Steve Sanders. It's like it's a football name. So Dr. Mimi and Steve Sanders, they're one of the newer couples. And is there anyone I'm leaving off? Quad, Heavenly, Toya. Oh, last but not least, obviously we have Phaedra. And Phaedra is single by choice. She has no plans on getting married. But in this episode, somebody that she's been dating by the name of Shek. Yes, Shek. He's Nigerian. Um, he's gonna get introduced in this episode. And by the way, Shek, it's so funny. It's like that's Tasha K's husband's name, and I'm like, you know, is that like the Nigerian equivalent of like Billy or John? You know? Okay, so the event goes as such. The couples arrive at Key West. Simone and Cecil get there first, and everybody's just so excited. Any good trip, any good group trip, somebody is standing there with a platter full of cocktails upon your arrival. Okay, same for this one. So obviously, that's the first thing that's gonna get the group like, yeah, we about to party, turn up. So Simone is standing there being the host of the trip. Heavenly and Contessa, who've been arguing the past episodes, they see each other, but because everybody is in good spirits, people get over their qualms, they're hugging. Contessa goes in to hug Heavenly, and she literally body slams her on the ground and then laughs. She definitely meant to body slam her, but she played it off real good. Like, but she also let you know, like, girl, if we really fight, like how you tried to fight me last episode, this is how it's gonna go, and it's not gonna look good for you. You gotta leave workout women alone. Like don't do it. Okay, so it's so funny. By the time they even do the rooms and pass out keys and stuff, Simone turns to her husband. She's like, Cecil, I'm already tired. Boy, they ain't even started the trip. So the first event that we have in the trip is like a relay race, for bonding, with these couples. And what the relay race consisted of was paddle boards and kayaks, right? Okay, so we had like 4 teams, I believe, and these 4 teams were Team Goldfish, Team Starfish, Team Shark, and I forget the other team, like Team Pufferfish or something. Who freaking knows? And so already, Cecil and Simone were the host of the trip. They're being strategic because they want to win. So with Steve being a former NFL player, they partner off and put Mimi and Steve on their team. And then the second most athletic couple, which will be Quad and her man King, they put them on their friend's team, who they want to see win after that if they don't take it, which I saw the strategy. I wasn't mad at them. So the first thing that they have to do is take these paddle boards. They're usually putting the men on them, and then the other team members have to kayak, and they're like picking up these things and putting them on baskets and like bringing them back, and whoever gets done the fastest wins, So Curtis, who's way too big for the kayak, is just, he sits this one out. And mind you, this is the one that cheated on Dr. Jackie. And this just really reminds me of two stories with a kayak. It's so funny how both of these stories, two different men, both named John. One real brief out in Puerto Rico, and there's bioluminescent water, which means when you touch the water, it glows blue. It's incredible. So you can actually go kayaking through this beautiful water. And I will never forget how we booked this excursion. And when I say my fat ass ex was just in that kayak doing nothing, I was like killing it. And I'm pulling both of us single-handedly. And even the instructor was like, "Oh my God, girl, you're like an Olympic level kayaker." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." But I ain't gonna lie, in my head, I was so turned off from my ex, whose name is John. I was just like, cause who, that's just not sexy. He literally was just so unathletic. He couldn't do anything. And like, I'm not saying we broke up immediately, but I had already started checking out in my head, and that didn't help the situation. So that's my my first kayak story with him. My second kayak story is with another guy named John. So me and all my girls, we went out on a boat day, right? One of my little boos, he has his own boat. And I'll be honest, he's a little older, and now I see the dangers of trying to be old and keep it player. Like, sometimes you gotta, like, sit down or you're gonna ruin your life, and here's why. So, we having a good time. We out in the open waters in Marina Del Rey, and for the most part, me and my girls were moving, throughout all the different rooms and out on the front of the boat, tanning and laying out. Like, I really wasn't even, I mean, my guy at the time, he's driving the boat. So I would say hi, but we're there to have a girls' day. So for some reason, something compelled me to come sit next to him, right? While he's driving. He's just doing his thing, driving, freaking boat wide open. And so I look ahead and I see some tiny little arms like this. And they're like, they got their oars in the air. And like, now I'm like, those are people. Those are people waving their oars in the air. And so I tap them. I'm like, "Hey, you need to turn the boat a little to the left or the right." He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Look, there are people right there in a kayak." Let me tell you something. Had I not been sitting next to this man that can clearly half see, I didn't know that at the time until I went through it. He would have plowed straight through that couple and just straight killed them. Had I not been like, "Hey, it's a couple in the kayak right there that you about to run straight over." This man literally would have ran straight over this couple in the kayak. So I guess I indirectly or even directly saved the day in their lives. This man was named John too. So that's why I'm like, John got to be the white version of Sheik, and Sheik got to be the Nigerian version of John, because the names are just too goddamn common, right? Okay, so back to the events at hand. Simone, Cecil, and Mimi and Steve Sanders end up winning the race, right? Naturally so, by design. And so then the next thing we get to is the pool party. Now, upon arrival at the pool party, um, you could like look at the scene that was set, and you walked in and you saw all these chairs, coupled off two at a time. And they weren't in like a circle or interactive. They were all facing something. So you could tell it wasn't about to be a whoa, turn up party as much as it was about to be a thing. So the next thing that happens is, you could tell that the motive of the night is about to be more of something serious or contrived, right? Um, so after, you see the layout of the party, then we're going to cut to Phaedra in her hotel room getting ready, right? And so while Phaedra, hey girl, while Phaedra's getting ready, you hear a knock at the door. Guess who it is? Phaedra opens up the door. It is her newfound friend from Sweet Tea's speed dating event, whose name is Sheik, right? Younger man. he has to be at least 6'4", good looking guy, great choice. And you immediately, just as one of the viewers, you key a little bit, because you know that it's gonna gag the women, it, right? Especially because he looks really nice. And so it's so funny, from that scene, they cut to Heavenly outside, and Heavenly is talking shit. She's just like, oh, so the name of today's game is called the Vibe Check. And basically, we're going to have all the couples come in and answer questions so they can see how well they know each other. And then immediately she shades Phaedra, and she's like, well, I don't know how Phaedra gonna play. I guess she gonna play with herself. She probably used to that. Then they go back to Phaedra. The editing is just always so top tier in this type of thing. So they're getting ready. What's funny is, and the joke's on Heavenly, because while she out there throwing shade, okay, Phaedra is back in the hotel room, okay, with a tall glass of chocolate Nigerian Nesquik, warming up, okay, getting ready to roll them out. So joke's on you, Heavenly. So then they cut to a scene where Heavenly is discussing with Toya, I believe, and saying that she actually ran into Apollo, who is Phaedra's ex-husband and father of her children. She ran into him, and she actually invited Apollo and his current wife on this couple's trip, which is just beyond messy and beyond shady. Now, she tries to make this like BS claim, and Heavenly, it's just like, oh, I invited Apollo because at the end of the day, as we know, Dr. G and Quad Webb are going through a divorce. And, with that being said, they look like they're having trouble with their dynamic. So maybe if I invited Apollo, they could learn from them and pick up some like positive, notes and implement it to their situation, which is total bullshit. Like, girl, sounds nice. We know you was just trying to be messy, but go off. So next thing happens is Quad and her new man, King, enter the party. Now, this is so funny. King comes in, again, they on the beach in Key West. His shirt is open, chest out, shirt flapping in the wind like Michael Jackson and Earth Song video. Just, oh, And I ain't gonna say the people are hating, but it immediately became a topic of conversation. You know, um, everybody was just like, oh, I get all the men. They're like, oh, I guess I should have my shirt off too. XYZ in the third. And what's crazy is Toya's crazy self. She gon' wait, I can't say that word. Toya's crazy self. She gonna say, well, in front of her husband, she's like, actually, no, we don't need to see any of you guys shirt off except for King. And then she looks at the new NFL player, and she's like, and maybe Steve. And the rest of the husband's like, well, goddamn, what do we just chop liver? And so then you're going to cut to the confessional, and Toya lets us know that she could have had, by the way, she's sitting right next to her husband. She lets us know that she could have had any man in the world, any athlete with 6-pack, 12-pack, whatever else. She could have had any man in the world. But she chose her ball round husband, Eugene, aka Mr. Potato Head. So Contessa walks into the vibe check after this, and she quickly realizes that she's the only one in a swimsuit. And she's like, I feel so underdressed. I feel ashamed. She's like trying to be very demure. Here's the thing. She was super fit. She looked good. F it. You know what I'm saying? If you got it, flaunt it. Don't feel shame. So now all the couples take their seat, and let's be real. The couples take their seats, and let's be honest about this. The seating chart could not have been any messier. When I say they literally have Quad and her new man sitting right here, and then Dr. G and his new wife sitting cat a corner right behind them. Obviously, these are divorcees, like right there. And you're thinking, I don't know about this, but maybe it's going to be cool. We're going to see, right? No, it was super awkward. So at that moment, now Phaedra walks in with her new date, Shek. And as we, guessed, the girls were gagged. Lots of confessionals like, oh, who was this? How she gonna come on a couple trips? Somebody she fell in love, blah, 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 blah. They were gagged. The girls were gagged, as they should have been. Yeah. So they start to hate on Phaedra's date. And, well, they're asking questions, but I call it hating. And they just getting all up in their business, like, oh, are you guys sleeping separately? I got two different rooms, which ain't none of their damn business. Like, people is grown. However, the answer that they gave was yes, they are sleeping in separate rooms, for the inquiring minds that want to know. Right? Okay, so I'm going to go over the list of the questions that were asked in the vibe check, right? Question one was how many dates before y'all sealed the deal? Meaning, how many dates did y'all go on before you had sex? That was question number one. So Simone and Cecil and Mimi and Steve, both of those couples, they had what I felt like was like was normal, like for people who are grown and okay about being grown. They said, both of those couples said they waited 4 or 5 dates before they, got intimate. Every other couple, for the most part, they were averaging out, saying like, 30 to 90 dates, right, before they were intimate. And Quad and King, Quad and King both mysteriously knew the exact same number. They said they waited 30 dates before they were intimate, which number one, I think is BS. Number two, immediately after they gave that answer, here comes the messy producers and editors. They roll a tape where, Quad and King have a hot mic and they're like, so what we gonna say? And they're like, okay, we just go. We're gonna put 30. Okay, 30, cool. Boom, got it. Like, okay, so they're cheating and that's fine. Whatever. And so then Dr. Jackie says that she waited 900 days before she gave it up. And then her husband Curtis was like, no, I think it was 1,000,000. And I mean, mind you, this is the same couple that when they asked how often do you get it, son was like, never. So I don't know. They got to, hey man, that part of your relationship is important. Like, you know, do things to make your woman comfortable with blossoming to you in that way. But also as a woman, like, don't think that depriving your man of physical satisfaction shit is cute. It's not. It's also, it is a form of abuse. Knowing what is important to a man and how they're wired, withholding sex from them, and also not making sure you clean yourself up and look nice for them at least every now and then. It's borderline abuse for them. It is, with the way that they're wired. So not cool. I don't think that Dr. Jackie, especially being an OBGYN and knowing how important sex is and these type of dynamics, and having had infidelity issues, which maybe her, you know, not having that on the table as much, sounding like ever, not just after the infidelity, might be a contributing cause to what happened naturally. Okay, so number two, who is the soft parent? Who's the hard parent? Who parents just right? And so, all of the couples, they pretty much, were very, comfortable with their co-parents' parenting style. But nobody expected Quad and King to answer because Quad notoriously does not have kids. She's been rejecting Dr. G's, children for their entire marriage. He refused to have his kids. And so then they actually answered and they both say just right as far as parenting styles. And everybody's like, wait, y'all don't got kids? Quad, when you got a kid? And so now it's revealed to us that King actually has a daughter, a 9-year-old daughter, if I'm not mistaken. And apparently the way that King is with his daughter is just turns Quad on, makes her want to have kids with him in a way that she never wanted to have with Dr. G. Mind you, she's actually verbalizing all of this, and her ex-husband's sitting right there. At this point, He's fuming. He's boiling. Even though he's with his new ex-wife, excuse me. Ooh, did I just foreshadow? Even though he's with his new wife, who was younger, we found out that she has fertility issues, which is its own thing, So it's a lot for Dr. G to take in right now. Back to question number 1. What do you guys think is a good number for, somebody to get intimate as far as dates is concerned? Do you believe in making them wait 3 months? Do y'all believe in having sex on the first date? I want to know. I'll be honest. Okay, I'm gonna hold that to another. That should be its own other conversation in another. I'll tell you my opinion about that in another conversation. Question number 3. That's when it got fun. Question number 3 was, how many times a week do you have sex as a couple? And so Toya and Eugene, they gave us once a week. Simone and Cecil, Simone says as often as I get asked, which I don't believe that because she is a very hardworking OBGYN, but that's a very fair answer. I just don't think that, your husband should have to ask all the time. I think you should initiate sometimes. Give him a little gift. Surprise! Can we say that? Can I say the P word? Okay, I'll edit that out. So Jackie and Curtis, of course. Curtis, his answer is 0. Jackie then takes her dry erase board and hits him over the head. Borderline domestic violence. Now, she did it light, but in her soul, and if the cameras weren't there, she probably would have really clocked him. He played her, but it's like, girl, you're playing yourself. Like, you're not gonna, there is never gonna be a positive outcome for you not having sex with your husband. You just can't convince me that there is. Now, when you're dating, you can probably withdraw sex and have some things work out in your favor, or you can hold out for a long time and never have sex to begin with and have a lot of stuff work out in your favor. But when you married like that, them type of games ain't cool, man. So I really hope they fix that. So then, Quad and King. It's Quad and King's turn to answer. So they both hold up because they cheating. Hey, what the? Quad and King is like, they hold up their board and it's like 15. Both of them. So everybody's like, y'all have sex 15 times a week. And then Quad is like, I honestly think I'm lowballing it. It might possibly be more. Everybody think they're capping. I totally believe that they're telling the truth. And, Quad, at this point now, she's kind of rubbing it in. She's just like, it's literally always multiple times a day. I'm having a good time. Mind you, her ex-husband, who she rarely had sex with, again, is sitting behind her. At this point, the editing gets great because there are some tiki torches in the background with like flames coming off of them. And the way that the cinematographer shot it is like Greg's bald head, and all you saw was literally smoke coming off of his head, which was actual smoke from, the tiki torch, not the VFX. So that was funny. And they did that to obviously illustrate that Greg was fuming. It's their time to answer, and they say 2 times a week. And then Sweet Tea, the new wife, the youngest female on the cast member, she was like, but when I'm in my fertility window, I try to have sex a lot more, which again, we do know she struggles with. So then Quad, her husband's ex-wife, turns around and she's just like, y'all need to have more sex. Mind you, she's talking to her ex-husband and his wife. One more time, let me run that back. So after Sweet Tea says that she has sex 2 times a week with her husband and they try to do it more during the fertility window, Quad turns around and looks them dead in their face. Y'all need to have more sex. I want to see a baby Lunsford, honey. I want to see me a baby Lunsford. Mind you, she refused to give birth to baby Lunsford, but she want to see it with the new wife. Okay, then at this point, her alcohol is 100% kicking in. You can tell. Like now she's like, She in the building, okay? And at this point, she just like, not only do I want to see baby Lunsford, the minute you get pregnant, you let me know, and I'm gonna throw you a baby shower. I'm gonna throw you a baby shower. And now everybody is just like, oh God, here we go. Like people are bracing for the bullshit. And so now Greg, her ex-husband, is over there fuming. He holding his wife tight because don't nobody know what's about to happen, seriously. And so the next move is, I think one more sip of alcohol is definitely a thing. And then the next thing Quad starts explaining how she's the one that left Greg. She filed. Okay. She is so happy where she's at. Her man King has changed her. Okay. And that she's happy. She's happy for Greg. She thinks that Sweet Tea is a great fit for her ex-husband, which was complete shade, honey. She's shade. I like Sweet Tea. She's a really sweet girl, but she's late. If you know it. She's super late. And it's crazy that she's late because she's the youngest, you know? So when Quad was like, I think she's a great catch for my ex-husband, it's like, ooh, girl, the shade. And then she was like, no, I really like y'all for each other. And so at this point, Greg, her ex-husband, had enough. He said, well, we don't give a damn what you think. I said, oh. So then Quad turned around. Well, if you want to play it like that, I don't give a damn what you think neither. So now they have an exchange. Now we going back and forth, right? Quad is just telling T, I'm what you want to be. You want to get like me. Miss QUADWEPP, okay? Quad well. See, I don't want to be like you. Da, 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 da. Oh my God. The ex-husband's fuming. The new boyfriend is just like mortified. He's just like, oh Lord, she's quite fine, but when she get that alcohol in her, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And they really going back and forth. Like, so now you're seeing Greg in his confessionals, and he makes the funniest comment. He says, as soon as they cut to confessionals, Greg says, I don't see how she got time to, plan a baby shower for us when she getting her back cracked 15 times a week, which was very, very shady because it's just like, oh, that's what you're really concerned about. So while Quad is good and drunk at this point, she's also starting to say that I'm with my man. I'm in love. This is it. He's changed me. Now we're gonna go to confessionals, and and Contessa's like hanging on her husband, trying to mock Quad. She's like, my man, my man. And Heavenly, Latoya, they're all mocking Quad in their confessionals. But it is really happy. It's really good to see Quad, has found love and settled down like this. So cut back to the vibe check scene, and Toya is about to stir the pot. Toya's just like, Quad, I just want to let you know that this gotten very awkward. This is extremely awkward. And so now, she's interjected, which is making the couples get a little more riled up. When Quad told T that I'm what you want, that's when things really got escalated to the next level. So after that scene, a little bit of small pandemonium, small arguing goes back and forth, and the Quad stands up, and she's like, now, what she say? She's like, now the narcissist is being revealed. Quad stands up and says, now the narcissist is being revealed. I'm definitely led to believe that they had some domestic violence issues in their marriage. I'll go so far as to say it's pretty apparent, actually. you know. And so now people are starting to like rise to their feet. Nobody's like about to physically fight each other, but tensions are high, and we're still making sure that, we're standing up and making sure you're getting between people and making sure they don't, make any contact or connect in any type of way that would lead to an actual physical altercation. But tensions are high where something like that could easily pop off, you know? Um, so what's so funny is Quad had like this little thing around her head. When I say the drunker she got, the more this thing started shifting around her head. When it got over here, I said, oh, she drunk boots. It's up now. So Dr. G starts yelling at his wife, while Quad is saying the narcissist is being revealed. Dr. G's like, be good. Be good. And he kept on yelling at his wife, child. And so Quad says, my man would never talk to me like that. King would never talk to me like that. So then she pulls King aside and they have a little conversation. And Quad lets King know that, Dr. G is intimidated by his presence and he's bothered by it. And King, the new boyfriend, who right now seems level headed, next episode is another story about him being so level headed, but we don't want to jump the gun. Um, she tells him, he's trying to figure out, well, why would he be bothering? It's like, because you're sitting there, with his ex-wife. I'm happy. We're talking about having kids, XYZ. And the third, and King starts to, kind of understand. So now we're going to cut to Quad talking to the rest of the group. She's saying that she traded in her old man for an upgrade, baby. And now she about to be Mrs. King. And I don't know if it's editing or what, but shady as hell. Bravo, as usual. I love them. They cut to when she's like, I'm about to be Mrs. King. You can see him rolling his eyes like, oh God. And I don't know. I don't know what that meant. Um I don't want to look too far into that. So now at this point, Dr. G takes his wife and they leave the party and go back to the room. While they're walking off, Quiet yells out, what part of America is that baby from? Basically, talking about how she's dressed, like where they do that at, letting y'all know that she late, you know? So at this point now you have Quad talking to Simone, Jackie, Mimi, and everybody. And Dr. Mimi, who is a psychiatrist, she knows better, and so she's just letting Quad get it off her chest, just dump, you know. And so what's funny is Dr. Mimi actually diagnosed her in that moment. She said that she has is a rapid pressure speech moment. And she said the only thing to do is to not interject and let her get it out. And I'm like, not this lady about to be on here with all these cuckoo birds and psychopaths actually diagnosing them, which is maybe it's something we needed, and we can give ourselves some self-diagnosis too. Um, so now we're gonna cut to the hotel room of Greg and Sweet Tea, right? They in there arguing, child. Greg and Sweet Tea. And I can't lie, I was like, what Sweet Tea do? And so Greg's whole thing was just like, now you arguing with her. I want peace. I want peace. I want peace. And it's just like, well, what did she do? But I do get it. It's like, okay, if you have an ex that used to bring you a whole bunch of stuff and now they're arguing with your new partner, now at the end of the day, now your new partner is in some type of like vicious stress cycle that you used to be in with somebody else when they're supposed to be a breath of fresh air, and a clean slate. So I do get his upset, but I do think that his way of addressing his wife actually lends a lot of validity to the claims that Quad's making about his character and possibly being a narcissist. I do feel that way. He definitely had displaced anger towards his wife. And it's so funny. Something that stuck out to me was when they was arguing, before, he stormed out. He was just like, we together, Quad got her man, Quad got her man now. So it's like, why we still da, da, da? And it's like, I'm a read between the line person. And it's like, girl, this is what this is about for real, as much as you don't want to admit it. And now you're cutting to scenes with the other couples, and the husbands are saying, like, yo, if I was in a scenario with my ex-wife and she got her new man around and everything I wanted with her, she refused to give me, but she's happily giving it to this new man, I couldn't take it and I would have left the trip. That's what the more level-headed husbands are saying in their private bedrooms when, the producers are cutting to those scenes. So then we cut back to Sweet Tea and Dr. G arguing. He's still yelling, I want peace. I want peace. So then he slams, like leaves the room, just slams the door in her face, his wife's face. So after Dr. G storms out, Sweet Tea goes to find the older women to confide in them and, talk to them about what's going on and how she can't find her husband, Greg, also known as Dr. G. And so the women pull her aside and they are being real with her. They're like, hey, this man just had to sit through an event/game where he saw his ex-wife with another man basically for the first time, in that way for that long, even though they've only seen each other in past and prior. And he had to sit there and endure her talking about her excitement to start a family and how much she's having sex and how she's doing all these things with this man that he never, you know, got with her, that she never did for him, and was a side of her that he was never able to pull out. Yeah, even though he's moved on, of course that still is going to sting, especially if he's not healed and, you know, not secure in what he has in the moment. And so Sweet Tea is young and being in denial, and nobody wants to think about their current spouse thinking about another woman or man. So she's like, no, I don't think that's what it is. And they're like, girl, you need to wake up. You need to wake up, because that's exactly what it is, you know. And so we had some more confessionals with the other couples, just talking about how they would feel in that scenario. And then we come to a close where Sweet Tea is now looking around the resort frantically for her husband. She keeps calling him, and he keeps sending her to voicemail. Fade to black. We leave the episode with Sweet Tea running around looking for Dr. G, and Dr. G is screening her phone calls and sending her to voicemail. And that just told me everything that I needed to know about what he really wants and where his head is at, where his heart is really. And honestly, if Sweet Tea doesn't deliver this child, I hate that this pressure is on her as a woman, but if Sweet Tea, especially with this much of an age difference, don't give this man his baby, it's done. And he honestly said that earlier in the season. He said, we're going to try for 2 years, and if you can't get my baby, I'm out. He said that. I'm not saying he's right, but, you know, this is one of them relationships where even though they love each other, it wasn't just like you just fell in love. It was, they both had a motive. Sweet Tea wanted to be kept. She, you know, even though she worked, she still wanted to be kept and move into a nice home with an older man that was going to take care of her. And he wanted a baby, you know. So, I mean, they both got together with motives. And so when you do that, if there's part of the bargain that you don't hold up on your end, yeah, it's over. It's not unconditional love. This episode, if I were to rate it, I would totally give it an 8.5 out of 10. It was a really, really good episode. I never thought I'd say this, but Married to Medicine, especially for that type of entertainment, they're carrying Bravo at the moment. They really are. I hope you enjoyed my recap of it just as much as I enjoyed the episode. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next week on The Pretty Funny Show.